All right, you guys, thank you so much for being patient. Thank you for spending part of your night with us to come and kind of learn about what we do as a tribe. We all just got back from Nashville together, kind of learning about some things, growing together as a tribe, growing closer as a family. And so, you guys, I know sometimes there's like some misconceptions around these kind of businesses, and I get it because it's why I told this business no for 4 months and then for 16 months did nothing with it. But I want to kind of take some weight off your shoulders, and I want you to know that, you know, if you're sitting here with us, it's because someone saw something in you. We're family. They believe in you. They wanted you here. They wanted you on this team, and they saw something in you that maybe that you could really thrive in this environment. And so thank you so much for even being here to listen to us, especially with kind of some of the negativity we see around this today. I want you to know, no matter what you decide, we still love you. We always will. And you know, our job is not to manipulate you or to kind of convince you of anything. Our job is just kind of share our experience with you and what it's done for us, and to answer your questions, and just to try to figure out, you know, can it fill a need for you, and then you get to decide. So for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Summer Tucker, and honestly, I'm a mom. You know what I mean? I'm a mom of 3. I have a 9-year-old. Well, he's 10 now. Shoot, that's going to take a long time to call him a 10-year-old. I have a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. You know, and really, this whole business started for me like 7 years ago. Initially, I married my high school sweetheart who really kind of tricked me into the military. Let's be honest. You know, he knew I didn't want to do that, but he also knew I was madly in love with them, and his dream was always to fly planes, to serve this country. And really, I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself other than be a bicycle cop so I could get paid to do it, you know, and maybe help change some lives. So I went along with it, you know, begrudgingly, kind of. And I started to slowly lose my purpose in that. I don't know if that makes sense, but hold tight with me for a second. So this kind of, as I followed him, we moved 10 times in 10 years. And as we kept moving, I kept feeling resentment, and I was alone a lot, and I started to lose my purpose, and I still couldn't figure out how to feel comfortable in my skin. See, I'm what you call a yo-yo dieter. We're recovering, I would say. High five after, you know, let's see how long ago, 6 years. So I'm in recovery. I'm in remission. Is that what we call it? I don't know. Anyway, every once in a while I lapse because I'm human. But 6 years ago, I finally found a solution. But leading up to that, I was what everybody called big boned. I was the bigger one of the family. I always struggled to feel comfortable in my skin. I played athletics. I mean, I ran half marathons, and I even went into personal training to try to fix myself. How sad is that? I thought, if I can't, you know, if with everything I'm doing to myself and all this strict dieting that I'm doing, and this, you know, these crazy diets and these crazy pills and all these kind of things, and running half marathons, if that isn't, I must be missing something. There must be some knowledge missing that it's what I need. So I went into personal training to try to fix myself, and guess what? I got more of what I had. It didn't fix anything. It kind of made me feel more like a fraud. Because honestly, how was I to serve these people if I couldn't figure it out for myself? See, no one taught me until 6 years ago that my story could be someone else's why not me story, that I could give other people hope as I let down those walls. But at that time in my life, no one told me that. So I built walls around it until Chad happened to say to me, if you want something different, you have to do something different, Summer. And so that P90X that had been sitting on my TV or wherever, multiple boxes, it had moved with us, still wrapped, because I knew better than Tony Horton did. He couldn't tell me what to do. I knew how to do it. That's how big my ego was. That's how big my ego was. And so it was after I did that program, you know, and really stuck to it and just did what I was supposed to do and failed forward, that by the time he came home from that first deployment, for the first time in my life, you guys, at the age of 28, I felt comfortable in my skin. For the first time at 20, I remember standing in that hangar thinking, like, everybody deserves this feeling. I had never felt that before. I felt sexy, like he might get lucky and I might enjoy it. Like, that's how I felt, like we were gonna have to do in the dark. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I felt, you guys. Now let's rewind to another transformation that was happening at the same time. See, I'll never forget hugging him for the last time either in that hangar. You know, I couldn't imagine spending 8 months apart. 7 turned into 8, but I couldn't imagine. I was scared I'd forget what he felt like. I was scared I'd forget what he smelled like. And for the first time in my life, I felt the weakest I had ever. I felt absolutely hopeless. I felt stuck. And as I watched our 4-year-old salute him as Chad taxied away, one tear fell down our 4-year-old's face, and he looked so confused. Like, what's going on? Like, this is what was playing in my head. Like, where's my dad going? And why is mom crying? And why does mom look so worried? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, Summer, get it together. You have a 4-year-old, you have a 10-month-old to take care of. And that started a downward spiral of what I call the is what it is cycle of death. See, I started going through the motions, but putting up my walls, smiling on the outside, but behind the scenes, inside, I was crumbling. You know, I was not emotionally available to my kids. I was not emotionally available to Chad. I was not a good military wife, and I started to become zombie-like. And one day when I was walking down the stairs to start a pot of coffee like I did every single morning because our 10-month-old didn't sleep, I saw this sign, the same sign that Chad used on me a couple months later, but I saw this sign that I used to tell my clients. I said, if you want something different, you have to do something different. See, I'd seen this a million times. I had seen that over and over and over. I'd said it almost to the point that it was like white noise in my own head. But for some reason, bam, right in that moment, the word you popped out and punched me in the face. Have you guys ever felt like something just punched you? It kind of felt good, but it kind of hurt. You're not sure what to do with it. That's what I felt in that moment, because the you popped out at me. Like, not Chad needed to do something different, not my mom, not my in-laws, not my kids. Summer needed to do something different. And I had been praying and wishing, like, how did we get here? Like, how did I get alone like this? Like, all that anger. Like, I told him I didn't want to be a military wife. You guys get where I'm going with this? We were in a fixer-upper. We just moved to this new town. And I'd only been there like 4 months before he left, and I was ripping down wallpaper. You imagine, I was an angry human being on the inside, but I wasn't going to let anybody know that. You see what I'm saying? And so that like, Summer had to change. And it was like in that moment that I realized this was my something different. This business, this team, the people that were in my life, this was my something different. If I chose, if I drew that line in the sand that day and said, this from here forward, I'm going to change. And it was in that moment that everything did change. Little by little, I get up a little bit every morning just to do something different. I do just a little bit something different to follow the same recipe that we now have for this team, the same recipe that fast forward 7 years ahead of time that's helped us pay off $200,000 of debt. Okay, we are completely debt free except for this mortgage on this house that we just bought. We have donated over $200,000 to build houses for the extreme poor in Nicaragua. We have their college taken care of. We have weddings taken care of. And the best piece of that is I have my spouse. I gave him the freedom. We as a team developed a business, me and him, to allow him to walk away should he choose, which he did. Not even a year ago, he decided to walk away and start serving other men through some of his struggles while also building a real estate investment, all through this business and the same recipe that we have for you. Now, here's the deal. It didn't start out that way. That's not what I didn't set out to create all of that. I set out to put one foot in front of the other. I set out to help pay. We were living paycheck to paycheck, you guys. I was that girl that would go in Target, buy a shirt, come out just to walk right back in because I had buyer's remorse before I even got to my car. Has anybody ever had that before? I mean, we were so far in debt with credit cards. We had gone on vacations we shouldn't go on. We had cars we shouldn't have. Jess, I know you don't have this problem. You know what I mean? And because her husband's just, bam, got it together. So anyway, I had buyer's remorse immediately, you guys. That's how we lived. I would go to the grocery store, and I was like, is there going to be enough for this? When Chad was a second lieutenant, we actually were on WIC. We don't tell many people that, but we were. Like, that's how we struggled. We lived in the red a lot. So I didn't set out to create all of this. It wasn't even in my head. I just knew I needed something different, from my purpose to my healing with my relationship with Chad, with the debt that would just keep piling and piling up. Because if you keep in red every single month and you keep paying a little bit, this is how I thought, a little bit on credit card, a little bit on credit card. What does that look like 20 years from now? That scared the heck out of me. And so little by little, we just started building this business, just a little, in the mom cracks. And this is what it has built to. It's called the compound effect. And that's what we're here to share with you today. I want you guys to understand that this is your safe place to ask questions. There's no stupid questions. Chances are, whatever your questions are, I had them too, and they probably kept me in bondage from moving forward for about, add 4 months, but 60 months, it's 20 months that I could have been doing something, but I was too scared to ask the question. I was too scared to work through my fears. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. But I want you to take down those walls, because if you're anything like me, if there's any nudge in your heart that's like, man, maybe there is a little bit something different. Maybe you're like, man, I kind of don't feel comfortable in my skin and never have. I wonder what that would feel like. Or if you're sitting here like, man, I wonder what it'd feel like to pay off our cars, or help with the electric, or maybe not to be so stressed when we go on date night like Chad and I. Like Chad and I's date night was literally coffee, because that's what we could afford sometimes if we were lucky. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, so if there's anything inside you, like maybe we could have a little bit something different, or maybe you just need a mindset shift like I did when Chad was gone. You're like, man, I just got to figure out some really, really positive people to be around. This is your place. This is your place, but only if you allow yourself to take down the walls and to hear these stories and to ask questions. So we're going to talk through all of those fears that we had, how we overcame them, and we're going to allow you to ask questions so that we can just talk, just like we're in each other's living room. Anybody bring their wine? Chad asked me if I wanted wine. I was like, Chad, I drank way too much wine in Nashville. No, you can bring me a glass of water. So, all right. Erin, you ready, girlfriend?
Lord, I hope I'm ready for something tonight. Goodness.
All right. I know. Okay, take it away, girl. What were your biggest fears when you well, go ahead. Tell a little bit about your story, because you have a very unique story. I think people need to hear you and I go, well, I just think it's a cool story. So go ahead. Tell your story.
All right. So hi, everybody. My name is Erin Booker. I'm sorry I have a little hoarseness from Summit. But I've been a coach for about 1.5 years now. And truly, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, making the decision to become a coach has saved my life. It's saved my family. It's made me a much happier, much brighter person, I think is the best way to word that. I have lost about 100 pounds since becoming a coach. In total, in my world, I've lost a little over 300 pounds. I come from a world of a lot of pain, being told from a very early age that I wasn't worthy, that I was not wanted, and that I would never be anything. And I have fought my whole life to find perfection, because without perfection, I didn't think I was worth anything. So my whole life has been a series of failures because perfection's unattainable. So I think until I found this team and built this tribe, I never believed that I was worthy enough to stand up and be a leader. And Summer and I met on Facebook. I had never met her in person. Something about her post just always spoke to me, because our team is about so much more than just losing weight and getting healthy. It's about finding inner peace and healing, and strengthening marriages and relationships. And I could go on and on, quite frankly, for the entire webinar about what our team really stands for. But I was really drawn to that because I knew I needed more than just a workout. I needed people to love on me and help me to realize that I was good enough. So when Summer asked me to join, to come to something like this, I thought, I'm still considered overweight, but at 100 pounds to where I am right now. I had a 6-month-old baby, and 2 older kids. I didn't fit the part. A coach is supposed to have a 6-pack and work out all the time and be an expert in fitness. And I was almost 300 pounds and clearly not an expert in fitness. And so that was a huge fear for me. And I remember saying to Summer, are you crazy? I don't understand. Why would you ask me that? Like, who's going to want to follow me? Who's going to want to listen to me? I work full time. I have a very demanding full-time job. I do have 3 kids. I have a husband. And at the time I had a newborn. So I don't have time to do this. I don't have time. I could never do it. It's not possible. And you heard Summer mention that she did this in the mom cracks. And I don't tell Summer, but I thought that was crap. I didn't know how that was possible. How do you have a job, have kids, have a husband and want to honor and spend time with him and build a business? And I thought, no way, can't do it. But I'll get the discount. That was what brought me in, is that I could get a discount on my Shakeology, and I loved Shakeology, and I'd really bought into the challenge groups and how amazing they were. And so I started as a discount coach, and then I very quickly kind of started to recognize that I liked hanging out with the team. And so maybe I'd come to webinars. And the more I did that, the more I recognized that my story had power. You know, people started to tell me that they were inspired by me. And I'm still struggling to recognize that is the truth. You know, we just came back from Summit, and it was amazing to have the ability to talk to some of our teammates and hear that I've helped. And I don't think there gets to be anything better than that. But, you know, so if you're afraid that you don't look the part, I promise you that your story will speak to someone, to many people, because there's a really big difference. And what I found is the people that I have the absolute pleasure of helping, they're the people who need someone who understands what it's like to have to lose a significant amount of weight. They're the people who struggle to feel worthy. And so my story is something they can relate to. And I think that that's really awesome. You know, I related to Summer, who quite frankly has never had to lose as much weight as I've had to, but something about who she is just touched my heart. And so, you know, I want you to remember that your story is amazing, and you were made to share that and to help other people. And then just that other thing about time, the honest answer is that I started this business spending 30 minutes a day. You know, we talk about a power hour. I was doing a power half hour. And I was able to cover the cost of my Shakeology with 30 minutes a day of talking to people. And I just got excited, you guys. So, you know, my life is drastically different than it was, you know, 18 months ago. 18 months ago, I couldn't look in the mirror without wanting to cry. 18 months ago, I cringed every time my husband touched me. And today I can look in the mirror, and it's not every second that I'm proud of what's looking back, but it's at least 75% of the time. And that's a huge improvement. You know, I can jump in my husband's arms and feel comfortable that he can pick me up. So I've sent Summer a picture of him holding me up because I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. You know, it's those moments where you have no idea that your life has changed. I'm a better mom because I became a coach, and I've learned to love myself more, which allows me to be a better parent. So don't let those things scare you. It's really important to just honor yourself and who you are. And, you know, people talk to me about the cost, and here's the thing, if you buy a challenge pack, you don't pay any more to become a coach. And I will be very honest and say I would pay thousands of dollars to feel as amazing as I do now compared to what I was living with 18 months ago. So if Summer called me tomorrow and said, I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to pay $300 a month to stay a coach, I'd say, oh, okay, I'll figure it out. But I have to pay $15.95 and get my Shakeology that I would get anyway. So when you're thinking about the cost, I really want to encourage you to remember you're investing in yourself, you're investing in your future, you're investing in your family. So really, when you think about it, it's kind of, in my mind, a no-brainer. So.
Yeah, you know, and I know you thought I was full of crap. I could feel it through the phone. You know what I mean? But I mean, seriously, when Chad was deployed, I mean, that all I was, here's the thing is I refuse to give up my why for my why. You guys have heard me say that before. I rather get up a little bit earlier. So I got up 30 minutes earlier to work some of the business. I rather give up the nap time, even though I had a 4-year-old, he still had quiet time. And so I would do like 30 minutes there too. And then before I got dinner ready and stuff like that. And we actually have like coach like schedule examples so you can kind of get a visual, but that's really how I did it. And then a little bit at night. But you have to remember, my husband was deployed, so the laundry was on me, fixing the refrigerator when it was broke on me, putting the trash out was on me, mowing the lawn that we lived on, huge. Like it had to be done with a driving mower, that was on me. Taking down all the wallpaper, that was on me. The dinners, the grocery shopping, taking the kids to other activities, that was all on me. Okay, and I had to sleep, and I was nursing still. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, get a picture, like. And it was one of those things that I knew, like, if I do just a little bit, it doesn't have to be boom right now. So we live in this society that has started to think that, like, it should be like a microwave. You know what I mean? And there's nothing like that. We take shots and pills and all kinds of stuff thinking and wrapping ourselves and all kinds of stuff for these quick fixes. It just doesn't work. There's nothing that works that way. There's no business that works that way. And I already knew that, so I was like, okay, I'm going to give this some time. I'm going to stay balanced. And it has grown to that over, Chad could have, we hit 6 figures at 2.5 years of fitting it in the mom cracks. And we teach you as it builds where to start to, get help and how to delegate things. And we as a team do things together so that not everybody's sharing it on top of them. So we really do have a good system so that we can keep our priorities in check. That is huge. And I will call you out if I notice you that you are all unbalanced, won't I? Won't I, Erin? I'll call you out.
Yes, you will.
I refuse to allow those I care about and love to ruin the things that are most important to them for this. And the other piece is, you guys, there's only one you, like Erin said. I used to think that, man, when I was a personal trainer, you guys, if I would have known that my story was valuable, if I would have known that how to share my story and the yo-yo dieting and the really strict eating during the week just to snap on the weekends and all that kind of stuff that I struggled with, and I did chubby checks, I walked around holding my fat, you know what I mean? If I would have let the walls down and shared that with my clients and leaned in and understood, like, this is what makes me real and this is what kind of makes us connect and gives them hope, man, my personal training business would have been way better, because this business didn't take off until I took off my personal training hat, stopped pretending I had it all together, and just started sharing my story. You can make a message out of your mess, like we say. Like, you have these obstacles, you have these struggles you've gone through, and they're not going to stop. You want to know why? Because we live on earth, not in heaven, not yet. Do you know what I mean? So we're going to have these struggles along the way. The cool part is we get to do them together, and we get to be freed and share them with other people so that they have hope. But let me tell you something that really held me back that Jessica's going to share on is the fact that I hated sales. And there's more on that in a second. Like, that was one of my biggest fears, Jess, and I know that was yours from the time we talked. But my biggest fear was sales, because we see how, we see how people do it sometimes, you know what I mean? And I love them to death, but you know what I mean? Like, that is just like, ugh, like, you know what I mean? There's this one girl that every time I went to the commissary, this is before I was a coach, and this is why I said no for so long, is every time I went to the commissary, she wanted to apply makeup, or I needed something to go on my face. I was just like, she didn't even know my name. It was like to the point where me and Griffin were like dodging, like behind like end caps and stuff. And that was stuck in my head. You know what I mean? The way I felt, I never wanted anybody to feel that way. I did not want to go to the park with the kids and they'd be like, oh, here comes Summer. She's going to try to sell us some P90X again, and everybody run. How uncomfortable would that be? And I didn't realize that there was another way. And Jess, I know this is part of your story. So I'm going to let you kind of share where you came from, all that kind of stuff, what your biggest fears were, and kind of maybe answer some questions people aren't ready to ask yet.
Hey, all right. My name is Jess Williams, and Summer's right. My biggest fear, well, I had three biggest fears. So, it just depended on the day. But one was I don't like sales and / like I was afraid to be icky because just like Summer said, I also had a friend who was in a different type of business. And she befriended me to get me to become a part of her business. And our entire relationship was strictly her trying to get me to be part of her business. And the funny thing is when I finally got like strong enough to say, I'm really never going to join your business. It doesn't connect with me. It doesn't resonate with me. I never heard from her again until a few days ago. She sent me a text message and basically just said like, hey, it's been a while since I've talked to you, was doing some check-ins. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but wanted to know how you were doing with your products and if you needed anything else. I have not spoken to this girl since right about the time I became a Beachbody coach, which was a little over a year and a half ago. So I was terrified to be icky and that kind of person, and I didn't like sales. Anyway, I'll touch more on how I got over that fear in a second, but I wanted to just share with you guys kind of like where I came from and where I started. I woke up 2 years ago and had one of those holy mother, what am I doing with my life moments. I don't know if anybody has ever had one of those. I've had several. But I am not the kind of person that will just sit back and be fine with it. Like I'm going to reflect and explore and figure out like, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? I'm going to dig into myself. I am a trained massage therapist. I worked that career for 10 years and I was incredibly passionate about it. And I was lucky at a young age to learn what personal growth and self-reflection can really do for your life. And I kind of, at the age of 20, sought out on this path to always be better. I had a not so shiny, sparkly childhood that I know a lot of people can relate to. I grew up in a emotionally, verbally, and sexually abusive home, and everything I did was not good enough. So just like Erin, I sought perfection my entire life, only to find out it's not good enough. You got an A- in, advanced history. It's not good enough because it wasn't an A+. I mean, I could go on and give you 1,000 examples of that kind of thing, but translated to me, never feeling, I just always felt like a disappointment. So, I went to college and it was the first time being out of that environment. I went buck wild and I realized that I was a disappointment to my parents because I was their smart kid. I was their kid who had so much potential, and here I was wasting away. So massage helped me when I got into that field really kind of set out on this path of like personal growth and always being better. And I did really well with it. But 2 years ago when I woke up and realized like, what am I doing with myself? It's not for the reasons you guys think. The problem is 2 years ago, I woke up and realized that I had accomplished every single goal that I had set out for myself. I was finally married after working very, very hard to sustain a relationship while my husband worked international for 4 years straight. I never saw him. It was almost like he was in the military, except for he wasn't in the military. And that was really hard. And a lot of my life became about surviving today so I can go to sleep to work tomorrow. I was working in a very negative environment where I was actually picked on and teased for being a happy person and for being nice to people. I quite literally got made fun of for being nice to people. So that was really tough. Meanwhile, I had a lot of other crap going on in my personal life that none of them knew about. So I woke up and I thought, like, wow, everything should be great. Like, I should be so happy right now. You and Andrew are finally married after going through a lot of stuff for, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many. I mean, he worked international for 4 years, but we went through crap to get to where we were for like 7 years or something. You were finally living in the United States again, so you were able to work. You were able to finish taking your classes in Asian body work. You had a great apartment in Chicago that you loved, super close to all of your really good friends. Like, my life should have been fabulous. And I was struggling because I had to work that Saturday morning, and I didn't have any massage appointments, and it was the most beautiful Saturday morning you have ever seen. And all I wanted to do was spend the day like laying in bed, snuggling with my husband, maybe going to brunch, having just this like perfect Saturday. But I had to stay within arm's reach of my phone because I was on call and could have had to go into work at any second. And I was crushed. I was laying there like, why do we even go to work? Like, what is the point of this? I worked so hard to be able to have a Saturday like this, and here I am spending it attached to my phone. So it was just really, it was a really big wake-up call in my life that even though I had everything I thought I wanted, something was missing. My massage job just wasn't fulfilling me like it had in the past. And Andrew and I were settling into our first year of marriage after him working international and us not living together for 4 years. We were having some communication issues, and it was just kind of a WTF moment. But I knew I needed to work on myself first before I could dig into all these other aspects of my life. So I started with my health and my fitness. I had gained a lot of weight right after we got married due to living in Asia and being extremely isolated and depressed. I had no contact with my friends and my family in the US for close to 8 months, I think. And I gained a lot of weight in a very short period of time. And I came home to the US, and I was always the skinny kid, right? Like, I was always the athletic kid, the gymnast, the skinny kid. And I had gained about 20 pounds in a very, very short period of time. And I had my wake up call one day, the first time I went to go see all of my friends since being back. And earlier that day, I had been having a crying, like sitting. So I didn't have a closet, right? Because we didn't have a house to live in yet. We were living out of a storage unit in a hotel. And so and it was winter time, and I left in spring. So I hadn't had winter clothes on in about a year. And I sat in my storage unit with a little mini flashlight, digging through boxes, trying to find clothes that fit, and nothing fit. So I had a total breakdown earlier that day, and I finally said, screw it. I'm going to wear this t-shirt and a pair of jeans. Let's just go. And I walked into this house where all of our friends were hanging out, and a friend of mine looked me in the eye, and she said, "You look great." Except for her "you look great" was not actually because I looked great, but it was because her skinny friend had finally gained weight, and it was very obvious. And it was really hurtful. So I had been struggling with a lot of anxiety and adjustments, and just life was nuts. But like, in my head, this is supposed to be the happiest time of my life. Like, what is wrong with me? So I started with my health and my fitness. I got connected with Summer very, very randomly.
That's how it always works out.
It was
random.
It was the most random way you could ever think of, and we can talk about that some other time if you want. But I started with myself in a challenge group, and I stuck with it for the first time in my life. I was always a quitter. When things got hard, I quit. But I was always kind of like the skinnier kid, so it didn't really matter if I stuck to a health and fitness routine.
Why did you stick with it this time?
this time.
Yeah.
Because I felt safe and I felt supported in a way that I had never actually felt before. So I didn't have any fit friends. I had one who really liked to go to the gym. She liked to take this dance fitness class called Work, and it's spelled WERQ. Okay, if that says anything. And I'm not a dance fitness girl. And I'm like, I am not going to that class. Like, no way. I hate the gym. It's just not for me. And we didn't have the money to do that, to be quite frank. So I finally felt safe and supported at that. Like in our challenge group, I could work out at home in my own private space. The workouts were short and effective. And at the time that I started, I was super busy. I was doing 40 hours a week of massage. I was taking classes to finish my degree. And I was living in Chicago, where I would have to travel like 30 minutes to work, 30 minutes home from work, and then that same day take a train for 45 minutes to an hour downtown, take a 3-hour class, and then take a train home again for 45 minutes to an hour. So the fact that I could like squeeze these workouts in, and then like as soon as I was done, peel my clothes off and take a shower, was just kind of this like perfect combination recipe of short and effective, safe and supportive. And I was finally seeing results, because I finally learned, even though I liked healthy food, I had been doing it wrong. So I just had the perfect plan. And Summer she wouldn't let me quit, but I also had other girls in the challenge group who I knew were going to show up every day. And one of them now is one of my best friends, and she lived in Hawaii. And so I was a few hours ahead of her. And so like when I would wake up in the morning, I would see her post from the day before. And when she would wake up, she would see my post from earlier that day. And there were a few other girls in there with us who like, we got really close. So that's why I didn't quit this time around, but I quit everything when it got hard. And like Summer, like I was kind of a yo-yo dieter, because like I could eat Mexican food and be fine, really.
Yeah.
If I'm being, I don't want to sound like a brat, but it's just the truth. But that doesn't mean that when Andrew was working international and we were living international, I never ate healthy food. I was emotionally eating and drinking for the first time. And that's how all the weight crept on so quickly. Whereas beforehand, it didn't. Plus, I wasn't working at that time, so I wasn't getting all the physical exercise that you get from massage. So that was kind of its own like perfect storm of gaining 20 pounds. I
gotta ask you, how'd you go from, okay, you got results. How much weight did you lose?
In the very first group, I think I lost like 10 to 12 pounds, but then I continued to lose. So I lost 20 total. So, coaching is what was that?
Yeah, go on. Sorry. You're going to lead into it. I see.
Coaching is what kept me going, right? So like, because I then had to kind of walk the walk and be responsible to help show other people what to do, I had to keep doing what I was going to do. So for the first time in my life, I joined my first challenge group 2 years ago. And for the first time in my life, I have been consistently working out and like preparing truly healthy meals and taking care of myself for 2 years. And I've never been this consistent with a single thing in my life ever.
So here's my question. Okay. Cause that is true. All of that's true. There's a financial piece though. Like you went from hating sales, being scared of that, to building an amazing team and an amazing business that, you know, when you guys moved out west, you were able to walk away from massage and kind of tackle some things in your life that have been thrown at you along the way that have, because of this business, you've had freedom to tackle. So how did you go from fearing sales and all of that to where you are now?
So I realized that because I was so excited about it and it works and I love it and I love this community, like I have made the best friends ever through this community, and my life has completely changed, that I don't ever actually feel like I'm selling something to somebody. I feel like I'm sharing with somebody what has worked for me.
Yeah.
And when you find something that works, like, you want to share it. So for example, I found a great pair of jean shorts at Old Navy. And I think I have told like 10 people in the last week that I got these awesome jean shorts that I'm wearing right now at Old Navy, and they were on sale. I'm just sharing that I found something awesome. And that's seriously exactly what it's like with when you get results. And so I don't ever feel like I'm selling. I just feel like I'm sharing. And if they don't want to do it, if they're not interested, that's cool. Like, I hired a personal trainer for a while and spent thousands of dollars on it. And I got far better results doing this in our challenge group system and being a part of this team than I did with that. And now, because I share it with people, I have been able to make money and build a team and walk away from massage, because massage was taking me away from my husband. I worked nights and weekends. He worked 9 to 5. And we had already spent so much time apart. I didn't want to keep like being this, we were two ships like passing in the night, and it was not great. So I was able to walk away from massage and be empowered to make other decisions that have helped us financially and support him. And so it's been a really interesting almost 2 years, I guess. I don't know, 1.5 to 2 years of a lot of personal growth and a lot of love. I've had a lot of stuff happen to me in the last 1.5 years. And this team and this community has supported me more than a large portion of my family, So to me, this team really is my family, which is why I am on vacation right now with my very best friend of 20 years. She's sitting right here. You guys can't see her. There she is. And I am here talking with you guys because I love this team so much that I was willing to spread the love on vacation.
Yeah, which says a lot about that you're willing to be here. I have a question though, because you didn't know a lot about business. So, how did you, that's probably some people's biggest fear. I hear that a lot from people, like, this is awesome. Like, this sounds good. I know nothing about it. How the heck am I going to build anything? I don't know what to do. Yeah. I know that was one thing.
So I don't know a lot about business because as a massage therapist, they don't teach you anything about business. They teach you all about the feels and how to connect with people emotionally and how to provide a great massage, but they do not tell you squat about how to run a business. Nothing. And the cool thing is that Summer's like, we will teach you everything. Everything in this business is learned. And we have a really simple recipe, and it works. I promise you it works. Just like the challenge packs work and they're foolproof, and we have this recipe for the challenge packs, we have that same exact thing for the business. So that's everything is learned. It's totally doable. I would say if you followed your coach's feet with the challenge packs and did what they told you to do, and you got results, if you follow your coach's feet and join our team and do what they tell you to do for the business, it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
we have a training that has developed over time. Of a lot of us have, I've been here for about 7 years or so. I've fallen flat on my face a few times. So, along with some of the other coaches. And so a training has developed so that maybe you don't hit your face as hard as we did, but that really does work. And I want to share with you guys some stories, whether it comes down to, wanting to lose weight, wanting to pay off debt, wanting to create more time like Jess did with her husband or whatnot. The recipe does work. Christy Vincent lost 40 pounds. She's paid off $18,000 worth of debt. She's given $6,000 to the extreme poor. She quit two jobs as an occupational therapist, and right now she's covering her husband's layoff. All from this business. Summer Richter has lost 30 pounds. Okay, so this is all with everything that we teach in our challenge groups, and then with our success training for our team. They have paid off $67,000 since January. since January, you guys. That's insane. And they're starting the adoption process. I mean, that is generationally changing. You know what I mean? That's a legacy changing. Kristen Evans has lost 70 pounds. Insane with Beachbody. She's paid off $10,000 worth of debt. She's actually getting married now. She wasn't going to because she's been hurt. But through the healing process with this team and an amazing man that has stood by her, she's getting married, and she quit her career to be home with her son, Dominic, and works this business full time. Insane. Blaine has lost 60 pounds, cut back from working 4 days a week to 1 day a week so that she could focus on this business. Tiffany Gaspy has lost 40 pounds, paid off $20,000 worth of debt, left her full-time job, and paid for her wedding in full. Caitlin Redmond has lost 80 pounds, paid off, hold on, I saved the best for last, $290,000, and her husband was actually able to come home from mining, which is a very dangerous job to pursue his dream job and to run his own business, you guys. So this isn't just some I could go on and on and on with stories after story after story on this team. And with the same recipe that we have for you. So whether it be in fitness, that you want to do something that you're like, man, right now I'm kind of like Erin, where I just really struggling. I just want to focus on me. The recipe works, will get you surrounded, or maybe it's more like, Christy Vincent that's working. She's working a lot of jobs and had debt to pay off and had this on her heart to give. And she needed to create some wiggle room. It ranges, whatever the deal is, it comes down to what you want out of this, Erin, do you have anything to add to that? I don't want to keep everybody on here too much longer. What's the biggest gift for you, Erin?
The biggest gift, honestly, from coaching for me is that every day I go to bed really proud of what I do, and I wake up really excited. And I didn't have that before. So I think that I'm trained as a therapist. That's my full-time gig, and I love that. But this is giving me the ability to dream again, and I had stopped doing that. So my family has a vision now, and we never had that. So I think that's the biggest gift I've been given.
Absolutely. I mean, check out some of these stories that people are typing up over here on the side, you guys. It's absolutely incredible, all generated from someone just having the courage to step into it. Even though there's fears, we've all had fears, like how do we make money, which I can cover real quick in a second. All that kind of is this going to cost me a lot? Like all those fears, like I hate ickiness. I mean, we all have been there. The only difference is everybody that's on here had the courage to step into it, the courage to fail forward and to follow the recipe and to kind of take the coaching, so to speak. I wouldn't be sitting here, you guys, if it cost a lot of money, because like I said, we were heavily in debt, and I didn't have $6,000 like you hear nowadays that you have to invest to get into business. It was $40 when I signed up, and that was put on a credit card. You know what I mean? Nowadays they have challenge packs, and so that can be completely waived. So whether you pick, honestly, you guys, the month of August we have 15 challenge packs on sale, and if you pick any of those, your $40 is completely waived. You have all the tools to start on your journey to lose the 100 pounds that Erin has lost, or the 20 pounds that Jess has lost, or the 40 pounds or the 45 that Christy has lost. Do you know what I'm saying? Like on and on. Like you have the same exact tools, and the best part is the same exact support system, because that's what we do as coaches, you guys. The recipe, the tools are there. We are the support piece. We're the people. Look, I was the personal trainer, okay? Jess went to the personal trainer. Do you see what I'm saying? So, and she was like, don't feel bad, Jess, that you wasted some money, because I was the personal trainer that didn't quite have all the tools. For me as a personal trainer, I was like, I only get to see them once a week. What are they doing the rest of the days out of the week? And how do I make sure they're surrounded by people that support them? That's what we do. We get to give people tools that they can use every day of the week, and a group of people that absolutely care about them and are helping them move forward and connecting with them. So it's $40 to sign up, unless you've done a challenge pack now or in the past. Then it's completely waived. And if you're military, if you're active military, yourself, your spouse is active, then you don't pay anything. nothing, you know what I mean, except for your product, you know, with Shakeology and stuff. But that is incredible what they do for the military through all that. And then it's like Erin said, it's just a little under $16 a month, and that pays for your back office. That pays for your, you know, like, so that you don't have to touch product. Like, I don't have like Shakeology, like, you know, lining my room or my garage or anything like that. Or I don't have to stock like a bunch of leggings or anything like that and then get them out really quick. Like, that's all done by Beachbody in a warehouse, and they handle all those orders. They handle all the money. They handle all of that. You don't have to have home parties all the time. You don't have to do any of that. You know, we teach you the recipe. Oh, sorry. I'm in the online office. So like your own, like it tracks all your orders and all your customers. All of that is done for you guys as a personal trainer. Trust me, that's worth $16. I did that, and that was a headache. So, and, you know, and as soon as you sign up, there's not some minimum that you have to hit to start making money, which is something I've heard of recently, that people, you actually have to hit like, you know, $500 in sales before you actually start making a commission. Immediately, you can start generating income and helping people, and we get you plugged in on how to help them. We actually have checklists and stuff, so you're not in it, you know, by yourself. And then along the way, we kind of teach you guys, you know, the ins and outs of it, and it just takes time, but we're all there together supporting each other. So I'm not sure what your vision is. You know, all I know is there's a whole lot of hope on this team, whether it be like, man, like I wish I could lose, you know, these last, you know, 15 pounds, or I've been hanging on to these 30 pounds since my third child, or man, I wish we were always in the red. I wish I could go on a date with my husband, or maybe take my kids to Disney, whatever it is. I want you for a second to ask yourself, if you couldn't fail, if there's no way you could fail, what are 3 goals, 3 things that you would love to achieve this year? Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever thought of that yourself? Like, what are 3 things you would love to achieve? Would it be losing the 30 pounds, or would it be saving an extra $10,000 to go to, you know, Bora Bora, or maybe it's just $2,000 to go to Disney, or is it more expensive than that these days? I'm not really sure. It's probably gone up, hasn't it? I was too low on that. Anyway, you see what I'm saying? Like, or maybe it's like just so that you can have more wiggle room and not be going like this with your spouse because finances are so stressful. You know, what would it feel like to achieve the 3 goals you just pictured? What would an extra $500 a month do for you? Have you ever thought about that? What would an extra $200 was life-changing for Chad and I thought we hit the lottery when we started making $200. Chad was like, dude, we have made it big, you know, because now we can make ends meet. So what would it do for your family? Then I want you to think for a second. I want you to reverse that 1-year picture. Can you answer me this? If things stay the same, if you did nothing, if you did not step into this tap, if you decided this is not for me right now, if you made no changes at all, where would you be 1 year from now? Your goals, the things, the vision on your heart, whatever it may be, if you don't change anything, if you don't do anything different, what does it look like 1 year from now? 2 years, 10 years? Have you ever thought about that? That was a painful realization for me that day that I walked down those stairs at our house, when I sat there and just cried when when I read that quote that said, if you want something different, you have to do something different. I realized right there, if I didn't do anything, if I did nothing, what the next 15 years of my life would look like. Would Chad and I even still be married the direction we were going? Would we be bankrupt? Would we be able to afford this house? Where would we be? Do you guys get what I'm saying? That bondage that we would have, where would we be? I want you to ask yourself that. Because right here, we're asking you to take our hand. In some form of fashion, take our hand. Join our team. Let us help you. You know, let us walk next to you in whatever your vision is. At the end of the day, you have to dream again. You have to pick up your pen and write it. Don't get stuck in the same it is what it is cycle that I got stuck into for far too long. That started with the lack of vision. So tonight, as we kind of part ways, I want you to close your eyes and think about that. What do you want your life to look like? What's your definition of success? And can we help you feel that in any way? We're right here, ready to take your hand. You guys, thank you so much for spending your night with us. Erin and Jess, thank you for sharing your story and for being real and being raw. And for those of you that took an hour and 15 minute or hour out of your night to spend with us, I thank you, and I hope to get the chance to know you. And if we can serve you in any way, whether from your weight to support to positivity to you know, financial, please, that's what we're here for. All right, you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.